Okay, so how it all fits together. So you've got the credibility crisis where people don't admit that the situation is as complicated as it is, and there's actually evidence in both directions. Then we talk about revelation and magisterium, ecumenical councils, and from ecumenical councils to consensus-based ecclesiology. And then we talk about there's the potential problems with a consensus-based ecclesiology. Number one is the whole point is to figure out how to distinguish between the true ecumenical councils and false ecumenical councils. When you have the Robert Council, which Leo invalidated, you have Hieria, which Nicaea II invalidated, gave criteria, and then you have Florence. And how do you recognize which one is the true and which one is false? Consensus-based ecclesiology is the answer, but then you have this problem with the idea of heretical or church fathers that appear to be heretical or appear to support or defend heretical teachings in retrospect, because all this has to be in retrospect, because even the Catholic Church and Orthodox Church both agree that essentially your paradigm level thinking is important, because if you have a authoritative teaching office or magisterium in your church, then you don't have to rely on historical reasoning. You can just trust your church, and that gives you the ability with paradigm level systems thinking to recontextualize all the problems in the past. But then you have recontextualization as a solution, and you've got consensus-based ecclesiology, paradigm level recontextualization. So that solves all the problems except for the possibility that contraception, which was accepted by the church based on consensus-based ecclesiology, could be something like a temporary reversal. And we also have that in the time period of the iconoclast controversy, because you had a period of 40 to 50 years, which the hierarchy of the church seems to be teaching something false. So how do you know you're not in the same situation with other things which are defined by patriarchs in council and received by the church, just like, the patriarchs in their councils saying that contraception is fine and the church seeming to approve it? If that's going to be reversed in the future, then you have either that all the saints that said contraception is wrong were wrong, or those fathers and councils were right and the contemporary consensus is wrong. So you have a mismatch between the old and the new, and that is a potential undercutting defeater for consensus-based ecclesiology. And so we just have to deal with the fact that there is ambiguity in large data sets, and you have evidence for and against both hypotheses, and you have to live with that and then test the claims. I think that's the basic idea of the whole chapter, is that triumphalistic claims don't fit with the messiness of the real situation, and even the potential solutions aren't 100% foolproof. And so we do need to assess the evidence and carefully assess the evidence, because, as I said before, unless we just define in advance that Orthodox apologists are just always correct in every claim they make, which is essentially the same thing as saying that they are infallible, then they could err. And if they could err, then we must use the tools that God's given us to evaluate their claims. And we do that through a rational inquiry and an analysis of the strength and goodness of the evidence, and how that contributes to the argument, whether the argument is good, whether it's based on fallacious claims, unsound or misleading information or lies. If we can use our God-given faculties of assessment, then we can see if in a particular Orthodox arguments are incorrect, and hopefully build a better argument. And that's where we go to the next section.